Whenever I stream Phasmophobia, I always get questions from new players asking, do I have any recommendations for them when they're starting off in Phasmophobia? And the answer to that is yes, I do. So in this video, we're going to go ahead into some recommendations I have to go ahead and finding the ghost room, setting up your equipment in the ghost room, and how not to get hunted and what happens if you do get hunted. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So for this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and use tier 1 gear to get ourselves to the mindset of a new player. So we're going to go ahead with our loadout first. We're going to go ahead and grab a flashlight so we can see. We're going to grab a thermometer and we're going to grab an EMF reader. The thermometer is going to tell us where the ghost room is because the ghost room is going to be 7 degrees Celsius or less. And if we get an interaction from the ghost, we're going to go ahead and try to identify what item is thrown and where with the EMF reader. So the perspective here is that you're going to go ahead and try to find a cold room, the coldest room in the location for the ghost room, or try to listen for an interaction and see if you can figure out what it interacted with the EMF reader. I also highly recommend turning on the power when you enter the location. Turning on the power is going to ensure that all the temperatures inside the house are normal. That way, if it's snowing outside, the house won't be too cold, and you'll be able to find that coldest room in the house naturally without getting confused. And if you turn lights on in the location, it's going to ensure that you don't drain sanity as quickly. And making sure you have high sanity is important because once you hit that 50 to 60 sanity threshold, you're going to start getting some ghosts hunting you. And you don't want that to happen too early. So when you're trying to roam around the house, trying to look for things, make sure you stay in the well-lit areas, but don't turn on too many lights. You will accidentally turn off the breaker. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going around the location and I'm trying to find a room that's a little bit cold. A room that's a little bit colder. And it looks like the base temperature right now in this house is going to be around 10 degrees Celsius right here we're seeing on the thermometer. So we're looking for something that's going to have a big spike downward. Walking towards this hallway, I can see that we have a decent amount of temperature drop happening. We're going from 10 towards 5. And if it continuously keeps going down that way, I'm going to say this is probably the ghost room. Since we have a little significant drop to, I'm going to go ahead and check the surrounding rooms as well. That breath I can see right now, it tells me that this room is a guaranteed 5 degrees Celsius or less. That is what the breath means. So this is our ghost room. Now that we're coming back into the house, we're going to first start looking for ghost orbs. So go ahead, right-click your camera in your inventory. And we're going to start searching manually in our hand for ghost orbs. Especially with the tier 1 tripod that can't move and rotate on its own. Very important to go ahead and walk this around yourself to be more time effective. And I don't see any ghost orbs. So we're going to go ahead and leave this in the corner of a room. That way it's looking inside and it has the best perspective possible. Next, we're going to go ahead and put down our writing book. The writing book, the sooner you get it down on the floor, the better. Because the ghost can interact with it at any point during the round. The faster you have it down, the sooner the ghost will write in it, potentially. Next, we're going to go ahead and do some spirit boxing. We're going to go ahead and turn it on. The red power button is telling us that it is on, and we can hear the little static electricity. The moment I hit my V button, my push to talk, it's going to light up white to tell me that it does hear my voice. Now we're going to ask a question. Where are you? That red dot right there, that with the little ghost symbol next to it, means that it registered my question. It was a good question, but the ghost just didn't answer it. Where are you? Oh god, there it is. As long as you're getting the red dots on the spirit box with the tier 1, it means that it's understanding your questions and they're good questions. But if you're not getting any red dots, it's telling you that it doesn't know what you're trying to ask it, and you have to rephrase your question. Next, we're going to talk about tier 1 dots, because the placement of tier 1 dots can be very finicky. One, if you go ahead and turn it on and you just put it on the floor like this, you're going to notice that a lot of your dots projection is going to get lost into the floor, and some of it's going to go up and actually be useful. But to get 100% accuracy and use all of the dots you have available to you, highly recommend putting it up off the floor. Because if you put it onto the table and have it hang off like this, you're going to get the full circular cone of dots, and it's all going to be usable to help you find that ghost dots. So I would highly recommend putting it off the floor. Don't let some of it go into the floor. Now, moving on to salt placement. If you're going to put down salt, you're probably putting down salt to either get photos of it or to see if you have UV footprints. My recommendation to you is to put the salt down in the doorway or outside of the doorway of your ghost room, because the ghost is more than likely going to step in that. It's either going to wander in or it's going to wander out at some point. It'll step through your salt. It'll allow you to get the best chance at getting photos and also going ahead and getting some UV potentially. Last but not least, here we have the placement of our crucifix. When I go ahead and look at the floor, the crucifix, you'll notice in the distance, has a circle that is a glowing circle. That glowing circle is the perimeter. The ghost is not allowed to hunt next to this crucifix. If it does try to hunt around it, it'll eat the crucifix and it will not hunt. So my recommendation to you is never actually try to place the crucifix too close to the wall. Why? It's going to be ensuring a lot of your circular protection is going to be going outside the location, and it's not going to be useful to you. So make sure you place it as close to the center of the room as you possibly can to get the most out of the protection of your crucifix. When you start noticing that you're getting in hunting range, whether your sanity is 50%, 70%, or even lower than that, you want to make sure you have two things in your inventory. You're going to want a smudge stick, and you're going to want a lighter. Having the smudge stick in your hand like this will ensure that if the ghost does hunt, you can always just right click with your igniter in your inventory and it'll light the smudge stick. And what this is going to do during a ghost hunt is it's going to disorient the ghost and allow you to move around freely and get away for a few moments. Now let's quickly talk about some of the most overpowered hiding places in the entire game: lockers and closets. Depending on what difficulty you're on, some of your hiding spaces like this may be blocked off with storage crates, so you have to find a different one. Now, these lockers over here are totally open. And the reason that the lockers and the closets are some of the most overpowered hiding places of the game is because of this. You could go ahead inside the locker, grab the door with left click, drag it into your character, and then don't let go of left click. The reason for that is because if you don't let go of left click, the door is going to be held shut. And the only way the ghost would ever know you're in here is if you're leaving your electronics on like I am right now. The ghost will always know where you are if it can hear your voice or if you have your electronics on. So make sure you turn your electronics off and keep the door held shut. It's going to ensure the ghost doesn't accidentally rip the door open from you. And this is the safest way to hide. Now, I've noticed a lot of new players don't have push to talk on. It's one of the biggest mistakes you could possibly make. Hit escape, go to options, go to audio, and ensure you have push to talk on. Yes, ghost, push to talk, that's right! If the ghost can't hear where you are, then it won't be able to know that you're in the hiding space unless it sees you go in there. If the ghost sees you go in the hiding space, all bets are off. And you better hope you have a smudge stick to repel the ghost, otherwise you will die. The only other recommendation I have outside of these are that the best thing you could do to get better at Phasmophobia is to keep playing the game. The more you play, the more experience you will get, the more you're going to learn from your mistakes, and the more you're going to be able to do better in the future, like anything else in life. But I hope you found these useful, and I hope you find them useful in gameplay as well. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you follow or subscribe for more tips of Phasmophobia, as I'm always putting out new content. Thank you for being here, and stay crispy, my friends.